Hi, did you ever stop to wonder about why we go through a crisis? Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Paola Ranova, founder of Ranova Enterprises and creator of the Cardinal Method of Life Connection. And today we're going to talk about the reason we go through a crisis. And the reason is a crisis is a purge of energy that doesn't serve us. In other words, a crisis is a way of consciousness talking to us. It's a language of consciousness, if you will, that tells us we are not on track and or that we've accumulated unwanted energy, that we have stagnant energy of things that do not serve us either in our bodies or in our professional life, in our financial life, in our friendships, in our love relationships, with our families, or with ourselves in terms of achievement and fulfillment and just being who we really are. So, in a nutshell, the reason we go through a crisis is because, on some level, we are living an unauthentic life or situation. So, a crisis is a purge. If it is in the body, I really suggest you locate the area of the body that you are feeling pain or discomfort or a symptom, and look at the chakra system, the Hindu chakra system, to find out why you are going through that. Meaning, which kind of emotion that corresponds to the area of the chakra is the underlying energy behind your symptom, your pain, your discomfort. I'll give you an example. Root chakra, which is on the coccyx area, right? The very, very lower spine, the bottom of our spines. It corresponds to fear. So if you have anything going on in your urinary system or your lower back, but specifically the coccyx area or the hips, for instance, make sure you observe yourself and ask yourself in meditation, what am I afraid of? Because the symptom is your body purging whatever stagnant emotion or unfinished business or unsolved issue you're going through. And in the long run, what it is, the stagnant emotions that stay in our bodies are really resistance to the flow of life. And more often than not, whenever we have symptoms or chronic pain or chronic disease or whatever, it has to do with our resistance to our higher self and the calling of our higher self. So in our inner world, who reacts to the calling of the higher self? Who reacts to happiness and fulfillment and being your best potential? Your wounded inner child and or your controlling ego. It's one of the two. And usually they put up a huge fight when you want to create positive change in your life. When you want to live from the perspective of the higher self, if the higher self is not driving your car, the car of your life, either the ego is driving or the inner child. And the most fascinating thing about it, which I see a lot when I see people here at Ranova, is that in some areas of life, the inner child, the wounded inner child is driving. The wounded inner child is in the driver's seat. And in some other area of life, the ego is in the driver's seat. So inner child behavior is when you are dependent on something, when you behave like a child in some area of life, right? And ego control is exactly what the word means. You are controlling something, and you're also creating separation, unhealthy isolation, competition, comparison to other people. So the wounded inner child wants to depend on others for nurturing. The wounded inner child is not self-sufficient or resourceful in an area of life, let's say financially or sometimes emotionally. And the ego on the other end of the spectrum is too independent, does not cooperate, sees everybody as a threat to its power. So when the inner child feels somebody is a threat to him or her, the inner child feels afraid, victim-like, and recoils. And when the ego sees someone as a threat, the ego becomes competitive. It's a power struggle. So there are different types of reaction in this consciousness of separation. And that consciousness of separation is the opposite of your higher self in the driver's seat. Because your higher self will always encourage you to be independent and resourceful, meaning you're an adult and not a child anymore. And it also encourages you to be cooperative and to create community and to be loving and to embrace others in a healthy way, not in a dependent way like the inner child. So these are just a few tips for you to grasp and to, allow to sink in and understand that when you go through a crisis, you are resisting your higher self's calling. And your body is used as a language of consciousness. Or a financial crisis means you're either making money out of something you don't really love and doesn't fulfill you, or you could be making more in another activity, or you resist your calling and you don't allow it to be your infinite source of abundance. When it comes to emotional life, friendships and relationships, you can be very, very savvy when it comes to this. Your intuition will tell you who is right for you, or what is the place and size of each person in your life. What is the role of the person? Maybe you have a love relationship, a romantic relationship with a person that is really, from a higher self perspective, meant to be a friend and not your lover. Right? Or the opposite may be true. Maybe you're friends with someone who you love romantically. So it really is about aligning your life with your truth, aligning your life with your higher self perspective. And I promise you, once you do this, you will not have crises to a very dramatic extent. I'm not saying you will stop having problems. However, higher levels of problems, better types of problems, challenging in the sense of expansion and not in the sense of contraction. Two different types of problems, the ones that bring you to a lower vibrational frequency and that contract your life, and the problems that are actually challenges that invite you for expansion and growth, and especially courage. Because going through a crisis means you are being asked to go forward and leap into whatever it is that scares you. And the moment you do that, you'll realize that it is not as bad as you think. Facing a crisis and facing pain, going through it, is a lot better than we imagine. Avoiding it will not only perpetuate it, but also stagnate your soul and not allow your higher self to expand. All right, so this is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate your presence in our journey. If you haven't yet signed up to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that. Leave your comments below this video and especially share it with people you love and you know that will benefit from all the content. Thank you so much again, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.